Hey, greetings, tuberinos. Canadian atheist here. Yeah, I know I haven't been around in a while. I've been suffering from what you could call video blockage. I haven't had a lot of time and energy for it. And I've also been suffering for topics. But I'd like to thank both the Pope and Richard Dawkins for breaking that block. Yeah, there's obviously some things to be said about that, isn't there? The Pope, with his reprehensible statement linking Nazism to atheism, comparing atheists to extremists and Nazis. Nice guy. Talk about disingenuous and dishonest bullshit from a former Hitler youth. Asshole. But I'd also like to thank Richard Dawkins for his comeback and for putting it very succinctly. I have been moved to go out and purchase a little reading material. Yes, a little something to educate myself. Yeah, I've recently started reading this. It's a book I've heard of several times. I've never read any Dawkins before. In fact, I'd never heard of the man before making this channel and declaring myself an atheist. A lot of the things that have brought me to atheism in my life worked on a subconscious level, an instinctive level, a lot of things that just added up in the end to not making any sense to me. And I found that, on the whole, the scientific approach for me made more sense. So I came to atheism via that, and I did it rather early in life by the time I was about 13 years old. I didn't declare myself an atheist publicly till years after that, and in some sense I'm still doing that process. But I am awful grateful for people who can so very editing right here. I'm very grateful for people like Dawkins who have written it down and made some very, very good points. He put it very succinctly in some of his book. I'm about a quarter of the way through the book. Some of the stuff that's in here so far, as an example, this particular book, Dawkins, The Greatest Show on Earth, The Evidence for Evolution. And a lot of this I've known on an instinctive level already. A lot of it come together for me from other things I've read, from things I've observed myself, and that have made a consistent theory in my own mind, if you want to put it that way. But I find some of the stuff in this book incredibly interesting, and it's going to help me express that as well to other people. And I wanted to read just a little bit of passage here from the Dawkins. I wanted to read just a little bit here, a couple of paragraphs that I found really interesting. Dawkins is talking at this point about radiological clocks and how they are used in dating the Earth and helping to prove that the Earth is more than likely more than 6,000 years old. Here's a bit right here. Now, a history denier would say that there is something wrong with the potassium-argon clock. Now, the potassium-argon clock is a radiological decay method that is used to measure, time on great scales into billions of years. It says, what if the present very slow rate of decay of potassium-40 had only been in operation since Noah's flood? If before that, the half-life of potassium-40 was radically different, only a few centuries, say, rather than 1.26 billion years. The special pleading in such claims is glaring. Why on earth should the laws of physics change, just like that, so massively and so conveniently? And it glares even more when you have to make mutually adjusted special pleading claims for each one of the radiological clocks separately. At present, the applicable isotopes all agree with each other in placing the origin of the Earth at between 4 and 5 billion years. And they do so on the assumption that their half-lives have always been the same as we can measure today, as the known laws of physics indeed strongly suggest that they should. The history deniers would have to fiddle with the half-lives of all the isotopes in their separate proportions so that they all end up agreeing that the Earth began 6,000 years ago. Now that's what I call special pleading. Indeed. And I haven't even mentioned various other dating methods which also produce the same result, for example, fission track dating. Bear in mind that huge differences in time scales of the different clocks, and think about the amount of contrived and complicated fiddling with the laws of physics that would be needed in order to make all the clocks agree with each other. across the orders of magnitude that the Earth is 6,000 years old and not 4.6 billion years. Given that the sole motive for such fiddling is the desire to uphold the origin myth of a particular set of Bronze Age tribesmen, it is surprising in the least that anyone is fooled by it. This is blah, 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 blah. There's an example. This is one more type of evolutionary clock. Blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, we'll stop there. That's an example of some of the stuff in Dawkins' book that I find really interesting. It expresses so well some of the points that subconsciously or consciously occur to me that I haven't been able to make myself verbally. So I'm going to be reading this book and really enjoying that. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to. I'll get back to you folks as soon as I can with more content. Peace and long life.